This video is about famous Hollywood celebrities and people who passed away from 26th to 31st of January 2024 in the United States. Before we proceed, please subscribe to our channel to support us. Chita Rivera, she was born in January 1933 and she died in January 2024. Her age was 91 at the time of her death, and the reason for her death were complications from a brief illness. Chita Rivera was a legendary and trailblazing star of the Broadway stage, celebrated for her electrifying energy and triple threat talent as an actress, singer, and dancer. A two-time Tony Award winner, she originated iconic roles such as Anita in West Side Story and Velma Kelly in Chicago, a recipient of the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Hinton Battle, he was born in November 1956 and he died in January 2024. His age was 67 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death were complications from a long illness. Hinton Battle was a prodigiously talented and dynamic American actor, singer, and dancer who was a three-time Tony Award winner. He was the original Scarecrow in the Broadway production of The Wiz and won his 3 Tonys for Best Featured Actor in a musical for his stunning performances in Sophisticated Ladies, The Tap Dance Kid, and Miss Saigon. He was a versatile and powerful performer on both stage and screen. Melinda Ledbetter, she was born in October 1946 and she died in January 2024. Her age was 77 at the time of her death, and the reason for her death was undisclosed. Melinda Ledbetter was an American talent manager and former model, best known as the wife and longtime manager of Brian Wilson, the creative genius of the Beach Boys. She is widely credited with helping Wilson to stabilize his life and career, freeing him from the controversial influence of his former therapist, Eugene Landy. Her dedicated support was instrumental in Wilson's celebrated late career resurgence. Dean Brown, he was born in August 1955 and he died in January 2024. His age was 68 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was cancer. Dean Brown was an American jazz fusion guitarist and session musician. Brown's studio guitar work can be heard on over 100 albums, including 4 Grammy Award winners. As a solo artist, Brown produced 5 solo CDs, with his 5th solo CD just being released in spring 2016. As an educator and clinician, Dean conducted master classes at schools and venues at home and abroad, and taught several classes of his own curriculum at Musicians Institute in Hollywood, California. Michael Watford, he was born in July 1959 and he died in January 2024. His age was 64 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was dementia. Michael Watford was a celebrated American singer who was a powerful and iconic voice in the house music scene of the 1990s. With his gospel-inflected vocals, he was featured on numerous classic dance tracks, including the beloved club anthem So Into You and Love for Two. He was a revered figure whose soulful performances helped to define the vocal house sound of that era. L.W. Wright, he was born in April 1949 and he died in January 2024. His age was 74 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was colon cancer. L.W. Wright was an American stock car racing driver who became a legendary figure in NASCAR folklore. In 1982, he famously managed to enter and qualify for the Daytona 500 with a series of bounced checks and false claims of sponsorship. His brief and audacious appearance in NASCAR's biggest race before he disappeared made him one of the sport's most enduring and mysterious characters. Joe Madison, he was born in June 1949 and he died in January 2024. His age was 74 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death were complications from prostate cancer. Joe Madison was a pioneering and influential American radio host and civil rights activist. Known to his millions of listeners as the Black Eagle, for decades his nationally syndicated talk show was a powerful platform for discussing issues affecting the African American community and advocating for social justice. A member of the Radio Hall of Fame, he was known for his passionate activism both on and off the air. Barbara Jean Burns. She was born in November 1941 and she died in January 2024. Her age was 82 at the time of her death and the reason for her death was undisclosed. Barbara Jean Burns was an American academic, psychiatrist, mental health service researcher, and educator. Burns created the first federal initiatives in children's mental health services research at the National Institute of Mental Health in the late 1980s. Burns held various positions at Boston College, Harvard University, Hood College, the University of Maryland, and Johns Hopkins University before moving to Duke. Larry L. Taylor. He was born in February 1942 and he died in January 2024. His age was 81 at the time of his death and the reason for his death was cancer. Larry L. Taylor was a United States Army officer and helicopter pilot who was awarded the Medal of Honor on 5th September 2023 for his actions on 18th June 1968 during the Vietnam War. Taylor flew over 2,000 combat missions during the Vietnam War in the Cobra and the UH-1, was engaged by enemy fire 340 times and was shot down 5 times. Hal Buell. He was born in May 1931 and he died in January 2024. His age was 92 at the time of his death and the reason for his death was pneumonia. Hal Buell was a legendary and highly influential American photo editor who served for many years as the head of photography service at the Associated Press. During his tenure, he directed coverage of major world events from Vietnam War to the Olympics and was responsible for distributing some of the most iconic images of the 20th century. He was a key figure in the history of photojournalism. Jean Carnahan. She was born in December 1933 and she died in January 2024. Her age was 90 at the time of her death and the reason for her death was undisclosed. Jean Carnahan was an American politician and author who made history as the first woman to represent Missouri in the United States Senate. She was appointed to the Senate seat that her husband Mel Carnahan won posthumously in 2000 after he died in a plane crash during the campaign. A former First Lady of Missouri, she was a respected and graceful public servant who served with distinction. Richard H. Smith. He was born in March 1945 and he died in January 2024. His age was 78 at the time of his death and the reason for his death was undisclosed. Richard H. Smith was a long-serving and influential Republican politician from Georgia. He was a member of the Georgia House of Representatives for 2 decades, where he was a key legislative leader and served as the chairman of the powerful House Rules Committee. He was a respected figure in the state politics, known for his expertise in the legislative process. Stan Aronoff. He was born in June 1932 and he died in January 2024. His age was 91 at the time of his death and the reason for his death was undisclosed. Stanley Aronoff was a powerful and long-serving Republican politician in Ohio. He was a member of the Ohio legislature for over 3 decades, where he rose to become the president of the state Senate. He was a major figure in Ohio politics, known for his strong support for the arts and for his influence in shaping state policy. Anthony Codesman. He was born in August 1939 and he died in January 2024. His age was 84 at the time of his death and the reason for his death was undisclosed. Dr. Anthony H. Codesman was a highly respected and immensely knowledgeable national security analyst, a longtime scholar at the Center for Strategic and International Studies. He was a leading authority on military strategy, energy policy, and the Middle East. He was a prolific author and a frequent commentator whose expert analysis was sought by government officials and journalists for decades. John Hines. He was born in March 1936 and he died in January 2024. His age was 87 at the time of his death and the reason for his death was undisclosed. John Hines was an American rancher and politician. He served in the Wyoming Senate from 2003 to 2015, representing the 23rd District. Hines previously served in the Wyoming House of Representatives from 1985 to 2002. Initially, Hines represented Campbell County in the Wyoming House, but after 1992 he was elected to represent the 31st District. Jim Sebesta, he was born in August 1935 and he died in January 2024. His age was 88 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death were complications from dementia. Jim Sebesta was an American politician. He served as a Republican member of the Florida Senate from 1998 to 2006. He previously served as Hillsboro's County Supervisor of Elections from 1970 to 1974. After stepping down from the Senate in 2006, Sebesta was appointed to the Florida Transportation Commission by Governor Rick Scott. Paul Volune, he was born in June 1967 and he died in January 2024. His age was 56 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death were complications from a heart attack. Paul Volune was a Democratic politician from a prominent New York political family. He served for 8 years as a member of the New York City Council representing District in Queens. He was a dedicated public servant who focused on community issues and later served as a deputy commissioner for the city's Department of Veterans Services. Irma Anderson, she was born in January 1931 and she died in January 2024. Her age was 93 at the time of her death, and the reason for her death was pancreatic cancer. Irma Anderson was an American politician who served as the first African-American woman mayor of Richmond, California. A former nurse and city council member, she was a dedicated public servant who focused on community development and public health. She was a trailblazing and respected civic leader in her city. Jimmy Williams, he was born in October 1943 and he died in January 2024. His age was 80 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death were complications from a short illness. James Jimmy Williams was a veteran American baseball manager and coach with a career in professional baseball that spanned over 5 decades. He served as a manager for 3 Major League Baseball teams: the Toronto Blue Jays, the Boston Red Sox, and the Houston Astros. He was named the American League Manager of the Year in 1999 for leading the Red Sox to a 94-win season and a playoff appearance. Terry Beasley, he was born in February 1950 and he died in January 2024. His age was 73 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. Terry Beasley was a legendary college football player who was a star wide receiver for Auburn University. A 2-time All-American, he formed a record-breaking passing duo with quarterback Pat Sullivan, who won the Heisman Trophy in 1971. He was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame for his dominant collegiate career and was a first-round draft pick by the San Francisco 49ers. Al McBean, he was born in May 1938 and he died in January 2024. His age was 85 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. Alvin L. McBean was a former Major League Baseball pitcher who was a key member of the Pittsburgh Pirates in the 1960s. A right-handed pitcher from the United States Virgin Islands. He was an all-star and was named the Fireman of the Year as the league's top relief pitcher. He was a talented and popular player known for his lively personality. John Pregenzer, he was born in August 1932 and he died in January 2024. His age was 91 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. John Pregenzer was a former Major League Baseball pitcher who had a brief career in the San Francisco Giants in the early 1960s. He was a talented athlete who was a respected member of the baseball community. He was a proud representative of a classic era of the sport. Thanks for watching the video. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Have a nice day.